So when somebody first comes to us with an injury, the first two questions almost every client has really can be boiled down to how much and how soon. Everybody wants to know, and rightly so, what is their case worth and how soon will the case be resolved. Hi, my name's Scott Occhiogrosso, and I'm a partner with Block O'Toole and Murphy. Today we're going to talk about how we calculate, develop the damages portion of an injury case. The challenging thing for us is when a case first starts, those are the two most difficult questions to answer. In terms of how much is a case worth, there are certain things that are pretty obvious. The nature of the injuries obviously drives the value of a case to a large extent, but how you develop the value of a case is more nuanced. One of the things that goes into it is the person working at the time this accident happens? Either are they actually working at the moment of the accident, or are they gainfully employed at the point in their life that the accident takes place? If the answer to that question is yes, then the next thing that we need to look at is, are these injuries of such a nature that this person is likely going to be disabled from their employment, either temporarily or permanently? If they are, there are another host of questions. One is, what was this person making in the work they were doing? Were they a documented earner? Were they paying taxes? Were they on the books? If the answer to those questions is yes, then obviously we need to get tax returns, we need to get employment records, we need to be able to prove up the person's earnings. If this is a union worker, then there are other components to their earnings other than just their pay. There's annuity contributions, pension contributions, there's vacation stamps, there's overtime, there's retirement funding. Another question that arises is, if this person is employed at the time of the accident, and if they are likely physically unable to continue doing the work they were doing at the time, there's a vocational analysis. Are there other occupations that the person still could qualify for? That's often the subject of expert analysis and reports, and some of it has to do with what other work experience might this person have had at other points in their life, maybe that didn't have the same physical requirements as the work they were doing when they were injured. Also educational background. And oftentimes from both us and the defendants in the case, this becomes sort of a battle of experts. Whether experts say there are many other jobs this person could do, or whether somebody is effectively eliminated from the job market. This is a big component of damages. Another really big component, which also is something we can't know at the outset of a case, is what's going to happen with the injuries. Is somebody likely going to have future surgeries, or are they going to recover without operative intervention? If somebody is going to have surgeries, then obviously that's a very important component in assessing fair value of the case. Sort of part and parcel of that is future medical needs, which is an extremely important thing to be analyzed in any case. Are these injuries where, even if the person recovers to a degree, or even if surgeries alleviate some of the suffering or in some way ameliorate the limitations, is this a condition like post-traumatic arthritis where it's likely to worsen over the course of time? And if it is, what do experts say about what is reasonable medical care in the future? Our position is always that if somebody is injured due to the negligence of another person, a company, a driver, whoever the guilty party is, we believe that that client should have the gold standard of medical care for injuries in the future. They shouldn't have to hope they have the money to pay for it. They shouldn't have to hope that they can navigate the insurance system. They're entitled to every bit of care that they can possibly get. It's not going to make them get better, but at a minimum, they should have the assurance that they can get the treatment they need. A big part of the calculus is, how old is this person? Obviously, if somebody's 60 at the time they're injured, compared to somebody who's 20, you're talking about very different calculations in terms of future lost earnings or future medical needs. There are times when we have injured clients who are working and they go back to work, and rightly so. Even if they're suffering with pain, they have families to support. They're the kind of people that we love to represent, that they're willing to work through pain because that's who they are, that's their character, and that's what they know is important in their lives and for their families. But medically, when you go back to doing a physically demanding job with certain kinds of injuries, unfortunately that person is putting strain on the injured body parts that's going to take a toll, where if they weren't working, it wouldn't happen nearly as quickly in their lifetime. So in those situations, we look at what we refer to as a work-life shortening. Is this somebody who ordinarily, if they didn't have these injuries, would be able to work for 30 more years in their career, whether they're a carpenter, electrician, plumber, whatever their vocation. But now, because of these injuries, are they putting strain on their body where they're going to be deprived of what would be maybe the last 10 years of their career? And if the answer medically is yes, that's likely to happen, then that's an important calculus, because those would be the biggest earning years of their career. So that's something that we need to consider as well. In terms of putting a value on pain and suffering, it is difficult, and we often discuss that this is where the artistry in what we do comes into play. It's extremely important that, one, first and foremost, that we genuinely care about the client. We have to connect with the person so that we understand, what did this accident really take from you? Beyond the practical numbers that we can put on a case in terms of how much were you earning that you can't earn because of the injuries? How much is your medical care going to cost? Separate and apart from that, what are the things that brought you joy in your life that have been taken from you from these injuries? And, you know, really, we think that that's the sacred calling in what we do, because it's so important to understand how unique that is to each person. It's so important that we really explore that. And honestly, there's a lot of people that don't want to think that way, even the injured person, which we completely understand. If you're the person suffering with these losses and these limitations, the last thing you want to do is think about the worst of it. And we oftentimes have to encourage clients and come alongside them and say, I understand that there's no part of you that wants to think about the things that you can't enjoy in your life anymore. Understand that's the worst place you can take yourself emotionally and mentally. But we need you to do that. We need you to have the courage to take that journey into the depths of your suffering. Once you do that, and once you talk to somebody, and once they open up, you start to be able to paint the canvas and understand, you know, I really loved to play with my kids. I had a client who said, my daughter, who was 8 years old, went to her and said, Daddy, can you teach me how to ride a bike? And it burned him up that he wasn't able to do that physically. And now his daughter was more than 9 years old. So I asked him, oh, so then who taught her how to ride a bike? And he said, nobody. He had bought a bicycle, and so every day that he looked at that bicycle in the garage was a reminder of what was taken from him. It's critical that we understand, and the only way we can understand is if we gain the client's trust to where they open up and they admit these things to themselves. And once they do, then it's our calling is to be able to effectively communicate that first to our adversaries, so that we can say, listen, this is not just another file. This is a real person with real suffering. And once we're able to convey that to them, then they can talk to the insurance carriers, and that can help shape their understanding of the real value of the case. And ultimately, if it's a case that we can't come to a reasonable agreement on the value and we have to go to trial, then that's absolutely the most important thing we can do as trial lawyers, is be able to show the jury who is this person, flesh and blood, what really makes them tick, what really mattered to this person, what has been taken from them, and how do you really give voice to that? What does justice say that really is when you lose something like the ability to teach your daughter how to ride a bike? These are things where, yeah, it's a lot harder to understand and to have a framework to put a number on it, so to speak. It almost seems mercenary to look at it that way, but in reality, we can't give the person back the things they've lost. But what justice can do is give them the dignity to understand that a jury recognized how profound these losses are. And the only way for them to do that is with the pain and suffering verdict. I think that we have always had a tremendous framework here to look at every case as a trial case from the day it comes in the door. And by doing that, a few things happen. One, you make sure that your proofs are rock solid, meaning you only put on the case what you believe you could present with a straight face to a jury at trial. You don't inflate numbers for the sake of having numbers on the case. You put credible claims on the file because you know the day may come when you have to stand on your feet in front of a jury and say, you should absolutely reward every penny of what we're saying for this person. That makes the economic proofs, the lost wages, and the medical needs something that we look at with an eye towards being conservative and credible at all times. And we don't do that a little bit. We hold ourselves to a very high standard where that's concerned. We take a smaller number of cases that we know have extreme value to begin with based on the really severe injuries that people suffer. That enables us to develop a real relationship with the clients. And doing that is where we get to that level of connection with them as people, that we understand what really has been taken from them. And we feel absolutely that it is our calling to communicate that effectively.